For much of the past 2 years, there's been no constituency for US intervention in Syria. Congress, public opinion, and the White House were all on the same page. But in recent months, opinion has begun to shift here. And now, instead of there just being a couple of prominent Republican advocates of a more forceful attitude, there are many Democrats who feel that the US can't afford not to intervene in Syria.
You guys doing all right?
President Obama's advisers seem ready to concede that, barring a breakthrough in talks, they should arm the rebels.
I think if we can put in place a process for vetting and trying to limit as much as possible the risk that those weapons would fall into the wrong hands, although you can't possibly be 100% certain of that, I think it's something that we should do in order to help tilt the balance in favor of the opposition.
Of course, there are many on the Hill who don't want to fuel the Syrian war and who hope the president sticks to his non-interventionist principles.
There's a legitimate reason on the part of President Obama to be quite cautious before he deploys American power in Syria. And the lessons of Iraq and Afghanistan, I think, are important to us. I mean, have we not learned anything about the limits of the use of military power as a means of getting a stable outcome?
Could it still come to boots on the ground and an escalating US role? Neither the Syrian opposition nor President Obama want that, but the most forceful advocate of intervention here argues it could still happen if chemical weapons are being snapped up by militant groups.
That is one case where an international group, force, may, and I emphasize may, have to go in, depending on the circumstances, to secure these chemical stocks. Now, that does not mean the United States alone, but I would argue that it is in everybody in the world's interest to see that these chemical weapons caches are secured rather than flow into terrorist organizations such as Hezbollah or even spread around the world.
The White House is still adamant that it won't put troops on the ground in Syria, but it is saying that if current peace talks fail, it's actively looking at arming the opposition and, under certain circumstances, conducting airstrikes. And that's a very distinct shift from its position of even a few months ago. If and when the US were to become engaged in that way, who knows where it would end.